fabric from the land of the five rivers.
Years ago, when we came to Los Angeles, I really believed that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
What's good? What's good? What's good? We back. We are back for another edition.
Welcome to the 50-50 Show with PharoahNFL and the Severe Raider.
Make sure to clock in.
The realest show for Raider Nation.
Hit that
2
like
points
button.
of view. One verdict. You decide.
Hey, man. Make sure to clock in. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. We're going live on both our channels, so make sure to hit the like button on both our channels, and if you haven't subscribed on both our channels, go ahead and do that too as well, and that notification bell, because it will notify you the next time we go live and drop some new content. We appreciate everybody coming through for another late night edition of the 50-50 Show. You already know how we do it here. Man, let's talk to the people. Let's talk to the nation. Let's talk to the night crew. The night crew. You know what it is, man. What's going on, Severe? What's up with you, bro? How was the weekend?
Oh man, weekend was good, man. How was yours?
Cool, man. Hey, man, busy. That's all I can say, man. Just to keep it simple.
Yeah, man. Yeah, same here, man. Same here.
Super busy. You know what it is. That's why we go live on a late night. But let me go ahead and, salute to the night crew, the nation, the chat. Hold on, let me go ahead and put this up on the screen. We got people pulling up left and right, man. Hold on. We got SoCal Sal in the building, man. My guy SoCal, man. Appreciate you coming through. We got Space Beast.
Space Beast. Always in the
my
building.
guy Pokemon RNG says, "Hey, English or Spanish?" Man, for right now it's English.
Se habla español, brother. Se habla.
man, un
Poquito.
poquito, man, un poquito, man. I don't know too much Spanish, man. I gotta get better. I gotta get better for sure. Man, we got Jose Vila in the building. He says, keep up the good work, man. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate the support.
Appreciate it.
Man, the chat is going crazy right now. Let me try to see if I can catch up here. Man, shout out, need the subs. Hey, I don't know if your channel needs the subs. Your channel needs subs. Hey, make sure to go follow David Gutierrez, man. But if you're talking about us, man, we appreciate it. But if
Sure.
David, go ahead and go ahead to David and go over to his channel. If he needs some subs, go ahead and subscribe to his channel as well, man. That's what we do. That's what we do,
Facts.
man. Hey, man, we got a nice show, man. We got a nice show today, man.
Yes.
We got an interview. We got an interview. A big time guest, man. He's.
Yeah.
We talked to him before, man. A good friend of the show.
Yeah.
My guy. If you haven't seen it already, man. TDL, Marcus. Tape Don't Lie is came and blessed our channel, man. We had a good conversation, and we're gonna go ahead.
Backed by popular demand.
Yeah, facts. So we're gonna get into that, man. Darren Waller retired. Raiders Media Day. Josh Jacobs in the news for the wrong reasons. No, I'm just kidding. Man, like every time we hear Josh Jacobs talk, man, I think Raider Nation is always paying attention just because, like, man, he's been with us, pretty much his whole career, and when he chimes in on the Raiders, we're kind of like, hey, watch what you say, man. Watch what you say. Raider fans are sensitive, man. I'm telling you, they don't.
Josh Jacobs was one of the very few successful first round picks that we had. So like Raider fans, they was clinging on to that hope, man. So now I think we just got Tyree, Brock, and Colton. I think the only ones left on the roster at this point.
Yeah. And my guy Raider Smoke in the building. Appreciate the super chat. He says, "What's up with my guys, man? Appreciate you, Smoke, man. Appreciate the super chat."
Raider Smoke.
Hey, man, we you know what it is, man. It's that Monday edition, man. It's that late night 50-50 show. We gonna all Raiders all day. We're gonna get into it, and yeah, we're gonna get into Raiders Media Day as well. Antonio Pierce was able to talk. Man, there was a few players, a few of the players. Obviously, Tom Telesco. It was on the Raiders. It was Raiders Media, so they're not going to say anything. They're going to say everything that we want to hear. I mean, come on, let's be honest. It wasn't like anything.
Basically.
No, it's not going to be breaking news. But at the end of the day, man, every time I hear Antonio Pierce talk, man, I'm getting fired up for the season. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. So we're going to get into that in a little bit. But let's get into the chat, man. Hey, man, we see people pulling up, man. I'm not forgetting about y'all, man. Look, Space Beast in the buildings. Let's see. Man, I gotta make sure my thing is like messing up right now. Hold on. Let's see.
Man, every time you play the intro with that lady, I got PTSD from that one time, bro. Every time you hit it.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
The little intro with the welcome to the 50-50 show was the right on one time you played it, then it just.
Oh, you talking about this right here? Oh, you talking about this?
Welcome to the 50-50 show.
You kept it simple right there.
Yeah, I hold my breath every time, bro. I get my fingers be crossed like.
Yeah, man. But hey, look. Without further ado, man, like I said, we're gonna have a conversation with Marcus. We had that conversation, and I'm gonna go ahead and play him. I'm not gonna waste any time, man. Go ahead. I'm gonna start recording right now. What's going on? What's going on, man? We got Marcus Johnson in the building. Tape Don't Lie. You already know, man. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to click in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff, man. We have a special guest. Man, when he's here, man, we got a whole lot of questions to ask, man. You already know. Tape Don't Lie. What's going on, Marcus? How you doing?
Good, man. How you guys doing? Thanks for having me back.
Man, we chilling, man. We were just talking about like the finals and all that good stuff. But we're gonna talk football now. You know what I mean? That's what we like to talk about on this show, man.
All right.
But let's get into it, man. The last time we spoke to you, we got into last season. Was it last season? We broke it down. We up into the early off season. We looked at the quarterback prospects because we had high hopes. Thought we're gonna get a quarterback. So let's
tremendous
start
waste
with
of time.
Yeah, just for real.
Man, oh man, it was a big disappointment. But I want to hear your thoughts, man, on the draft. Let's start there, man. Like, what were your thoughts on the overall draft by the Raiders?
I thought the draft was good though. Overall, I mean, I think everybody's winning there expecting to get a quarterback. But when you look at the players overall that they had a pretty damn good draft. Getting Brock Bowers, especially when they plan to do a lot of 12 personnel. And plan to mix it up and have those have him Michael Mayer and when they plan to run the ball a lot. Then getting Brock Bowers makes a lot of sense. Jackson Powers Johnson is a damn stud. I mean, that was a great pick at 44. You can't really get any better than that. I mean, DJ Glaze, that was right. But I like the back end ones like Trey Taylor. I think he has some serious upside that that's not really being talked about. He's a playmaker, right? And he has NFL pedigree, being Ed Reed's cousin, I believe. So Trey Taylor, he's nice. I thought Dylan Lobby was a good pick. So overall, I thought the draft was good. It's just I know a lot of people wanted a quarterback, and after those quarterbacks went 6 in the first 12, that was kind of you couldn't expect that. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect all those guys and Michael Penix to go 8. You know what I mean? So I don't think the Raiders expect that either. So
I'm gonna hate the Falcons for a long time for the next few years, man. Because I was kind of like. I was getting comfortable with the idea of Michael Penix coming to the Raiders. I'm like, big arm, classic big arm. Al Davis. If you're a Raider fan, you already know you're gonna fall in love with the deep ball. And then obviously he's the best deep ball thrower in the draft. We've seen the athleticism when he tested out on his pro day. So I was kind of getting, and the fact that the Raiders are trying to win now, and he's like an older prospect, so he could come in and be a contributor early. So I was kind of getting. I was like, all right, hey, the Raiders might get Michael Penix at 13. I mean, he's not gonna, or they're probably gonna trade up and get him because the way the draft's set up, like in my opinion, if you have a guy early on, he's one of the top. If you feel like he's one of the top QB prospects, you're gonna trade up and get him. You're not gonna wait until. I mean, I remember the year before, not this draft, but the year before, I think the Colts kind of risked it a little bit because their guy was Anthony Richardson, and they were like praying that he was going to drop to number 4. And the way they celebrated, like, obviously Richardson is hurt right now, but that was their guy that they circled. But it's funny that you mentioned Trey Taylor because the running joke between me and Severe, like when you mentioned that his cousin was Ed Reed, was like, oh, he's probably his cousin by marriage. Like he probably seen him like one time. Was like, hey man, good game, and never seen him again.
That's funny.
But I did hear you talk about Trey Taylor and how you said that he was probably like the best safety in the country last year. Was that so? What makes you say that about him? What about his game?
Trey Taylor's a ball hawk. He's a ball hawk. Like that. That's he makes plays. He's kind of reckless with it too. Like he'll leave his spot and he'll go try to make a play. Like especially like nobody's in his area. He doesn't cover grass. It's like something they say. A lot of DBs just cover grass. Nobody's around him. They're not doing anything. He's not that type of guy. So and he has a great understanding of what's happening around him. So he can go make plays all over the field. He's a ball hawk. He just makes plays. Like he has this one freaky play against San Diego State where he's blitzing. He recognizes the RPO and he just jumps up in the air and picks it, a slant that's supposed to be behind him, and takes it to the house. So that's what he can bring. And I think a lot of it with him is that he's 213 pounds, so you expect him to be more of a physical tackler than he actually came off on tape. That's what you expect from him. But that's something you really saw from him on film. But he is a playmaker. He can guard tight ends. He can go up there and press coverage tight ends. There's a lot of things he can do that I think you could develop him, and he could probably eventually become a starter and maybe replace Marcus Epps down the line. So that's what I'm excited about him.
Yeah, man. Do you think that he's going to challenge for a spot on one? It's kind of early. I mean, looking at Morik, he was solid last year. I think the safety room was pretty solid. But do you think? Because they drafted a safety last year. I know it's a different regime, but they did draft a safety last year in the later rounds. I think safety out of Georgia.
Chris Smith.
Chris Smith.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Is he a guy that's gonna make the team and be like a special teams contributor, or what do you think?
I mean, that would be his way to make the team, but I think Chris Smith is probably somebody who needs to worry about that because Isaiah Palomar, he's a special team guy. He's gonna make the football team. There's no even if you outplay him at safety, Isaiah Palomar is making this football team because he's the gunner, right? I mean, he's a damn good one. So he's going to make this football team. So there's going to be three safety spots already taken, right? So how many safeties are they going to keep? Are they keep 4? That's when it becomes tough for Trey Taylor and Chris Smith. I think Chris Smith should be a little bit worried because, like I said, Trey Taylor is bigger than him, but they kind of have both of the same issue. Like Chris Smith has trouble tackling too, and he's a ball hawk. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes for both of them. But I mean, and that's Telesco's draft pick. The other guy isn't. But we'll see. Chris Smith didn't get a chance to play at all last year, really, and a lot of that is because Palomar. But Palomar's gonna make this team because, like I said, he's one of the. I'm not gonna say he's one of the best gunners in the league, but he's a damn good gunner. And if you watch special teams film, he's all over that. He's all over the place. So.
Yeah, and I think Jared Alexander, the safety coach, I think he kind of mentioned his name, and I think he, you could tell like that he's probably gonna be a contributor on this team, so that makes sense. But let's go to the other side. You know what I mean? We're talking about the 7th round pick. Let's talk about the 1st round pick, and that's kind of been a big debate on this channel. And our first reaction to the pick, we're like, what? Like, tight end? Like, didn't we draft a tight end last year? Like, why are we going with Brock Bowers? Especially because we talked about it. Like, it was a little bit of a disappointment because we couldn't get that quarterback. What are your thoughts on Brock Bowers? Like, now that it's fully set in, it's been a month or two now. Do you feel like it's a great pick?
Yeah, I do. I do actually. I mean, I think mostly because he doesn't have to play tight end really. You could line him up as a wide receiver. You could line him up as a running back. You could give him jet sweeps. You could do all these different types of things with him if you're creative. And I think it's more about Luke Getsy at this point with Brock Bowers, because honestly, like I said, like you don't have to have him play inline tight end, right? And if they want to play 12 personnel, they can really, mess with a lot of teams. I mean, a lot of teams are going to be able to match up if they can run the ball, which is going to be key for them drafting Brock Bowers and using him correctly. They got to be able to run the ball in 12 personnel, because if they can't run the ball in 12 personnel, teams are just going to come play nickel and it ain't going to matter, right?
Yeah.
So you got to be able to run the ball first, because if you could do that, then you can use Brock Bowers and have 3 linebackers in the field, because there's not going to be many linebackers that can guard him one-on-one. I would start right there. There's not going to be a lot. He can run routes like a wide receiver. He reminds me of Travis Kelce a lot, but a little like faster, right? But he has that same explosiveness. I could throw him a slant. He could take a 70, right? I could literally do a jet sweep with him, and he could take a 70. So I think he's that type of explosive player. But the key to them having success with him and Michael Mayer being on the field, so I think that's their plan, because they don't have a lot of big wide receivers in this room. I mean, I know they brought up Michael Gallup and Jalen Guyton and all those guys, but maybe Gallup comes in. I don't know how they're gonna use Trey Tucker this year that much, but I expect to have a lot more 12 personnel, and it's not gonna work if how they want it to work if they can't run the ball. So it's going to be key for them to do that. Yeah. But that's the big thing with Brock Bowers. But, I think, I was in shock too when they picked him. I was like, what the hell? Doesn't make any sense. Yeah. But, Tom Telesco's best player available. He's not going to change that. I can't control that. So he was number 1 on the board, left. They're like, you know what? Nobody else brought Brock Bowers. I know we took Michael Mayer. I guess we'll take him. So.
Right. Right. Yeah. Facts. Now I'm gonna throw this to Severe, because me and Severe have had that conversation about Brock Bowers, and he's mentioned that Brock Bowers, as talented as he is, as a good a player as he is coming out, there are some things about his games that he's a little bit like, all right, he needs to work on. So Severe, I think you were talking about his release the other day.
Yeah. So one thing I will push back on Marcus is that I don't think Brock Bowers is a good route runner. I think he is good at particular routes. Like I think of Brock Bowers as a mid, like we were talking about basketball earlier, right? Like he's a mid-range shooter, and like what you call a guy that like, even if a guy that's money from like 15 feet, like he don't miss that shot. Would you consider him a great shooter if he can't really shoot the three? Like I wouldn't consider that guy a shooter. And I think like Brock Bowers, he's very good if he's going north and south, northeast, northwest. But if you ask him to go east and west, he's a totally different player. Like that stuff, like I didn't see any evidence of him being able to like, hey, I'm gonna drop my weight, move this way, go back this way, get, hit an out route, and I'm a shaky guy and do that kind of stuff. I think he's good at, he can run a post, he can run a dig, like he can run a drag route, like that stuff. When you're asking him to just move fast, like be an athlete, I think he's good at. We asking him to be a technician, that stuff I didn't think he was great at. Also stuff like zone, I see he had a tendency to like drift in zone sometimes, or not recognize like, hey, you know what, I need to kind of be at this spot at this time in order for my quarterback to get me the ball on time, for me to have the kind of optimum amount of yak. And when you get him the ball, he's a demon. Like, there's no bringing him down. Another thing is like he's not very strong at the catch point. So I like several times, like if it's a contested catch, like players that were much smaller than him, like nowhere near as talented as him, were able to kind of disrupt him and keep him from catching the ball. There are also some concentration drops in there. I saw a few fumbles in there that were kind of concerning. It's all those things kind of add up. And the one thing that I said is that what Georgia did is Georgia schemed him open a lot. Like we would see them like basically like especially with the way the hash marks are in college, like he'd have a whole empty side of the field to work with. So of course, like he's gonna make a guy look bad because he's a good athlete and he has like basically this entire side of the field to work with. Like, well, this guy's in a bind now. Like, what do I do? So I think a lot of that, and then like, a lot of like you said, sweeps, a lot of like tight end screens, and we're gonna like, hey, you know what, stop route. Let me just give Brock the ball and let Brock do his thing. One thing I did want to ask you is that because you've been like doing the scouting thing for a while, and it wasn't about this player, but it was about another player, and they said that be careful about guys who broke a lot of tackles in college because that doesn't always translate to the NFL. And when you think about it, that makes a lot of sense because when you're in college, like, I'm studying for my geometry finals, right? I don't have, like, they don't got a lot of time on task. And you think like back to like when Chip Kelly had success at Oregon, like part of why he was so successful is not that he had much more time than these other coaches, but the pace at which he ran practice at was breakneck speed. So in that same however many amount of minutes, they were getting stupid amount of reps in there. So they were able to get like a whole bunch of time on task, even though they had the same amount of time. So I like, that's always a concern. Like, so is that something like that you've seen in the past where like break tackle guy in college doesn't always necessarily be break tackle guy in NFL?
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. I think, it depends on the position to me for that because, as a running back, I want to see guys be able to make people miss as a running back in college. That's like a big thing for me. If you're not doing that, I get a little concerned because, because one, what you pointed out, you're playing against lower competition. And I think for you to be a great running back, that's like what separates you is that ability to make guys miss in short spaces and things like that. So I do agree with what you're saying about that because especially because you got like the Tavon Austins and those type of guys and that were just working people and a lot of the smaller guys. But I think that's more of a size thing than actually something like that. Because me personally, I think Brock Bowers can win. East and West because I've seen it on film. I've seen him like win East and West and kind of work corners. So I think there's some elements there, but I understand what you're saying though. I think it's not as consistent as it is some of the other things that he can do. And but I 100% agree with the hands. I think the hands probably was always my biggest concern because even when I didn't think they're gonna pick him, but I'm watching all the other guys play Georgia, and every time I was watching, he's just dropping passes. I was like, what? Like, why is this guy dropping passes all the time? So I 100% agree with that. I do think he could win a little bit more East and West than you would say, but just because I think he still has that wiggle to him, and I think there's a lot of things he could develop too, because a lot of these guys coming out, even the wide receivers, it takes a little bit for them to win. But I think with the tight end, you could get him free releases anyways, where he doesn't have to face press coverage and things like that. So I think you could work it that way. But I think you do make a point that a lot of guys who come into the league they can't break tackles like they used to. Because I mean, yeah, because these guys are better players. You know what I mean? And some of those things happen. But he did play in the SEC. So I mean that has a little bit of a factor in it, and kind of think he can do that. And but I think you make good points there, because I mean I'm trying to think of like some guys that were breaking a lot of tackles in college where they came into the league and didn't. But it's also the opposite to me, because I Brees Hall from Iowa State, when he came out. I was watching him film like, dude, this guy can't break a tackle, and then he gets in the NFL, he's breaking every tackle. He's making dudes miss like crazy. So I don't know. Sometimes these guys, it's like, how are they being coached too? You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing with some of these guys when they're coming out. You got to factor that in, because I did not think Brees Hall could break tackles like that, and that dude came out. Nobody could tackle him in the NFL, and I was like, but you're getting tackled by some white dude in the Big 12. So
yeah.
Like it's weird. Like sometimes in college, like it doesn't always go either way, but we'll see with him. I mean, he just got to put the work in to get better there.
Who was that wide receiver that played for Arizona State that got drafted by the Patriots?
N'Keal Harry.
N'Keal Harry, yeah.
Guy that broke a lot of tackles in college and it did get to the league. You know what I mean? Can't play that type of game. You got to win in different ways, and he kind of struggled. So. Is he still in the league? I'm not sure if N'Keal Harry is still.
No, they just moved him to tight end. The Vikings. They just moved his ass to tight end.
Oh, okay. Wow. Crazy. Shout out Brock Bowers. You know what I mean? But hey, look, at the end of the day, I feel like the Raiders got a good player, but they're, it's not. It's just, I think for me, it was just a big disappointment of not getting a quarterback. But then after time goes on, I'm like, all right, you know what? I see what the Raiders are doing. They're just going to have a whole lot of weapons. You got an average quarterback. You surround them with like big time weapons. We've seen it. We've seen teams win with a lot of weapons on offense. Like, look at the San Francisco 49ers. That's what they're doing. And on top of that, the Raiders, we can say that going into next season, we got higher expectations for the defense than we do for the offense. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's I don't even remember the last time I've said that. So, but I mean, outside of obviously Brock Bowers and Trey Taylor, and then obviously in the second round we were able to get a steal, in my opinion.
Yes.
And Jackson Powers Johnson, you know what I mean? That guy was early in the process. Everybody was talking about him, like in the Senior Bowl, and I'm like, all right, you know what? And then as time gone on, his name just kept. I just felt like he was going to get drafted in the first round. It didn't happen. Do you like what the Raiders are doing and putting him in left guard, especially? Because he's played, I think, was center and right guard, right? So do you feel like left guard is a good spot for him?
Well, to be honest, I mean, I don't know how much it matters with that type of player that he is, because he went to the Senior Bowl. Because Jackson Powers Johnson was the best player at the Senior Bowl, like hands down. The dude, I think he left early. Like he first day at center, he just murdered everybody, and then they moved him to guard, and then he looked even better at guard. So, to be honest, like as long as he can run block and he can move and he's getting space and he can get his hands on somebody, he is a vicious dude, man. He's angry. He's angry at people. He hates defensive linemen. He hates linebackers. He is an angry man. And, I do think he's going to have a little bit of adjustment in pass pro. I think his pad level is pretty high in pass pro, but he has good hands and stuff like that. But when you're playing like Chris Jones can lift him off the ground. He gets high. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who he is or what he's doing, right? There's going to be more savvy guys that are going to beat him, and maybe he'll get a wake-up call in camp, going against Wilkins and players like that. Maybe he'll get a little bit of wake-up call. He needs to bring that pad level down. But in the run game, he is a dominant. He's ready to go. He's vicious. He has a crazy get-off. When I was breaking him down, we were doing his film breakdown, he, like, tosses the ball before, like, he was playing center. He like be standing up already taking off while he's snapping. So his get off is so crazy, and he is just such a monster in the run game that we can see the pass game will develop eventually. But like day one, he takes his run game to another level. Like it's going to be damn good. So I like him way better than the pick of Brock Bowers. To be honest, I think that this is the best pick in the draft. It's just he's got to stay healthy. So I mean that's the thing right now. I mean he's already kind of sitting out already. So
yeah, I mean it was a great value pick at a big need position at offensive line. It's been like that was like pretty much one of the biggest needs on the team going into the offseason. So I agree with that. And then Before we move on from the draft, man, after the first round, after we kind of realized, like, man, Atlanta drafted Michael Penix. After that, it was just like, the quarterbacks. I mean, obviously, I think Denver was able to grab a quarterback out of Oregon, and then you got
Bo Nix.
J.J. McCarthy went to the Vikings, and it's crazy. They just moved up one spot from where they were, and they have 2 first-round picks, so it tells you how much, they had bigger plans, but it fell through. But there was a point in the draft where the Raiders could have drafted a quarterback in the 5th round. Mm-hmm. And he ended up going to the Saints.
Yeah.
Now, do you look at that and be like, you know what? The Raiders probably could have grabbed a quarterback in the 5th. Or where you weren't that big on my guy from South Carolina?
It's not that I wasn't that big on him. I just feel like, I mean, you already drafted a 4th round guy. I mean, if we're going to keep drafting 5th round guys and 4th round guys, like, I don't see the point in that. Like, at this point, I mean, you got to get a 1st round guy. I mean, because you already have a kind of what I would say, somebody that is limited enough to fall that far. Because, I mean, you could look at Spencer Rattler however you want to look at him, but he's obviously limited enough where he fell that far, right? So he's still a developmental guy. So how many we're just going to keep bringing in developmental guy, at that point, like, you gotta take the chance and take a 1st round quarterback and feel like he's a franchise, or I mean, you have a guy that played okay and you just have to kind of roll with it, and you have Gardner Minshew. So I kind of like that approach, because I feel like you could build a roster better than taking that approach of just drafting a guy just to draft him, because you want to have a tight quarterback room. So and to be honest, I mean, Carter Bradley played better than him at the Senior Bowl anyways. So and they got Carter Bradley. So so with that, it kind of fits anyway. So they basically got the same thing. So it's 2 rounds undrafted, and then you kind of getting that kind of developmental guy that you would have got with Spencer Rattler anyway. So
yeah, I'll take your word for it, man. If y'all don't know, man, Marcus was able to be at the Senior Bowl, so he's seen it firsthand in person, and he's seen Carter Bradley, who's undrafted free agent QB with the Raiders. I don't know if he's going to make the team, maybe practice squad. Who knows? But
we do play a lot of cover 3, man. He knows how to beat cover 3 for sure.
Man, shout out to his pops right there, man. But that being said, let's moving on. It's OTAs just happened right now. I think it's I think this week was last week of voluntary OTAs, and next week we got, or this is kind of, if people watching this week, is going to be mandatory mini camp. What are the biggest positional battles that you're looking forward to, or going to be paying attention to on the team?
Of course, it's quarterback, right? You want to see that battle between Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. I know people say it's a battle, but I don't know how much of a battle it actually fully is. I mean, it's more like Aiden O'Connell, if you're terrible, then you won't play. Like, I mean, that's kind of what it feels like. I feel like AP kind of gave him that, that confidence that he's a starter unless he mess up. And then, in minicamp right now, he's outplaying Gardner Minshew. So it would have to be like kind of a serious, like terrible, just, I don't know, just the worst preseason ever for him to lose that job at this point. Like I think with Aiden O'Connell, the context that I got more with him is that when I watch Will Levis and Bryce Young, right? I watch all 32 quarterbacks. I'm starting that. My little thing right now, and he played better than them. Now I don't know how you would take that. Of course he's nowhere close to Stroud. He's nowhere close to Stroud. I'll tell you that right now. But like, he played better than them. So like, what is his development going to be? Is he going to get better? That's kind of the thing you have to look at with Aiden O'Connell. But him and Gardner Minshew, like, because the thing with Minshew, if Minshew's a starter, you can't throw downfield. So that's the thing. Like it's like eliminated. Like it is, man. It's literally eliminated. You cannot throw past 30 yards,
man.
And that's the problem with Minshew. I mean, if Minshew could throw the ball past 30 yards, he really isn't that bad. It's just that he can't do that, and he has this like a really really bad arm, and he almost got Michael Pittman killed last year against the Steelers. I don't know if you guys saw that. I don't even remember that. He almost got him out the league, right? Man. And he throws hospital balls. He's gonna throw hospital balls.
We're just coming back from a quarterback that threw hospital balls, and Jimmy G.
Yeah. He's just more. I would say, because my biggest critique of Aiden O'Connell last year was that he wasn't clutch. And there's games, if he was better in the fourth quarter, that they would have won some of those games. Like, when they have the ball, like the Vikings game, yes, it's 3-0. They haven't scored any points, but you had the ball 3-0. All you do is go score. It's 7-3. We don't care. You won the game, right? I think same thing with the Dolphins game. Like, it's the Raiders gave up a whole bunch of yards, but they shut them down on third down the whole game, right? I think they had like 2 third down conversions, so they kept kicking field goals. And he threw 3 interceptions, and they're still down 20-13. And all he had to do was go down the field and tie the game. So that's those things with Aiden O'Connell. I think that's the difference between Minshew. Minshew's a little bit more clutch than he is, but it's the other 3 quarters with Minshew. It's like you can't throw downfield, and it limits teams, and the team's going to come load the box on you, and then that's going to be the problem with that. But yeah, if at least Aiden O'Connell could at least drive the football, on out routes and stuff like that, that's a lot of things Minshew can't do. And that's kind of my problem with Minshew. But Minshew, it sets the tone more. He's more gritty, and he's more of a let's get this win type of guy, right? So that's the difference.
Yeah, man. Minshew is just, man. It's look. They almost went to the playoffs. The Colts.
Yeah.
I mean, if you let's keep it positive. I mean,
Yeah.
They almost went to the playoffs with Minshew. He was able to carry the team after Richardson went down. I'm just hoping that AOC, with him being younger, second year in the league, there's a little bit more upside. Maybe he figures it out a little bit, has a whole offseason to prepare like he's a starter, not like last season where he pretty much was under the impression that he was not going to see not even one snap on the football field. So it's a whole different mindset. So hopefully AOC can win that out. But to be honest with you, like we talked about earlier, and I talk to Severe all the time, like, hey, look, at the end of the day, like, all they have to do is just manage the game. Like, do not turn the ball over. You got let the playmakers make the plays. They're wide, hit whoever's wide open. Just let them make plays. You don't have to win the game for the team. But I'm gonna pass this Severe, man.
I thought that until I saw the Vikings game, and I was like, damn, maybe they gotta do a little. Maybe they gotta do. They gotta. Maybe it's not just not turning the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think in an ideal world, Aiden O'Connell is the guy. He separates himself, and me and Pharaoh talked about this like before. I want to say last week, where I think Aiden O'Connell has the advantage because the things that Aiden O'Connell does well, that's the stuff that shows up in like mini camps and OTAs and stuff like that. Like he's very like precise and like all that stuff shows up well. The stuff that Gardner Minshew does well, like that's the stuff that shows up in games. Like you can't simulate that kind of stuff really. You can try to, but like you really can't simulate that kind of stuff in practice. Like it's almost like Jeff Garcia. Like Jeff Garcia was buried on depth charts because Jeff Garcia is he's not like a practice player. He's not a guy that's gonna go out there and like really impress you with his arm talent and all this stuff. But he's a gritty guy. He's a leader. He's a gamer. And I think that's basically what Gardner Minshew is. And so I think I think Aiden O'Connell has the advantages, man. But this is just a very
I used to roast 49er fans, bro. I used to roast 49er fans about Jeff Garcia because he was such an ugly quarterback to watch. Like, it was just like...
Bro, he was... But he got it done. He got it done, bro. He got it done. And at the end of the day, and that's basically Gardner Minshew, bro. Like, he just figures out it's like it's not pretty. Dude is small as all get out there. It's look like somebody's... like I don't know, some high schooler out there playing quarterback, but dude, he just figures out a way to get it done. So, I just and this is my issue is that I really wanted to add a guy. I mean, I thought Spencer Rattler was a guy that can legitimately compete for the job, and I think we had an opportunity to take him in the 5th round, and instead of taking him, I think we took a throwback linebacker that like he's like take drafting Tommy Eichenberg is like getting a top of the line Blu-ray player. Like, bro, why like nobody uses Blu-ray players anymore. Like, why you get this? So I don't think it's something that it's like I don't think it was a pressing need. I would rather have got a guy that had one of the best arms in all the draft, despite all this other. I think the main thing was with him was his maturity. rather than like a linebacker that maybe can be a replacement for Spillane, but who's a guy that's not going to be on the field, in third down situations, not going to be your nickel linebacker. He's gonna have to definitely come off the field. So that's
Yeah.
just me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you guys are lower on O'Connell than I am, because I just with O'Connell, I think it's more that he's just boring as hell, right? And I think he does a lot of the boring shit that we don't mention with quarterbacks a lot. So like that's why he's gonna probably get a play, and I think that's why AP likes him too, because he's not gonna get in the way, and that's why like at the end of the year when he wasn't turning the ball over, and even when he wasn't playing the best, he didn't turn the ball over, and that's kind of what they like. And and some of the things that he does on film, like it's gonna look ugly, but he'll be avoiding a sack, throwing the ball. It's things like that. That's kind of just like these things that quarterback coaches love, right?
Yeah,
Quarterback coach is gonna love Aiden O'Connell, a lot of the shit he's gonna do, but it's just boring as fuck, and it's not gonna look as like as sexy as some of these other quarterbacks do. But so I think if they play defense like they did last year, I think they can win with Aiden. But it's just they got to be able to run the ball, and that's gonna be the key thing. Even with either quarterback, they got to be able to run the ball. I just think that like if he can take a next step in things like it's just clutch to me. He's just got to be clutch. If he could play better in the fourth quarter, I think he could turn the tides to Raiders fans and get on his side. And because I think that's what Raiders fans, when they see it, it's like, okay, we're in this game and he can't get it done at the end. And I think that's kind of what we saw, because all it takes is probably 2 of those drives, and I think it's a little bit more fanfare for him. But he failed in that biggest moments when you need a quarterback to make those plays. Because to be honest, I mean, to me, a lot of people don't like game-winning drives. Like, it's something that people are not fans of. They're like, oh, whatever, that's not a good stat and whatever. But to me, it's if a quarterback has to be clutch. And when you have the ball in your hand at the end of the game, we're not running the ball, you're throwing, and we need you to go get it done. And that's his problem to me. I think that's a lot of the other stuff. It's not a big problem with Aiden O'Connell. It's just like you got to be clutch, bro. Like, especially if we're a defensive team, we're going to be in games, even if you're playing like shit. So you got to get it finished. You got to throw that stuff away. But, we'll see, though. We'll see.
Yeah, no. And I've heard you say that in the past. Quarterback out in Carolina, you liked him coming out because he was clutch. He was good in big moments. And I would add like third down, red zone. I feel like that's a big, like how quarterbacks do well in those spots, because those are big money downs. So you would like for quarterbacks to play well in those downs. But obviously you're the big quarterback guy. It's not that I'm down. I'm not down on AOC. It's just I see his ceiling. That's
yeah. Oh, I get it. Trust me, I get it, man. But it's just, it's like you just gotta find that area of what he's good at, and that to me, it's all about the offensive coordinator. I think the offense he was in was really tough, so it should be easier on him. So we'll see how he goes from there. Because and I guess my perspective is different because I watched Bryce Young and Will Levis, right? I watched them, and I'm scared for Panthers fans. If I was a Panther fan, I'd be scared right now. Like if the Raiders drafted him and he played like that, I don't know how many games they would have won, right? Because he has this problem. I don't know, this could be probably a young thing, but he has this problem where he like takes 4 seconds. He feels like he's in college and he's playing 4 seconds. It's like, nah, bro, like you got to get rid of the ball. And there's a lot of those things that O'Connell doesn't have. Like he knows just get rid of the ball quicker and stuff like that. So so I guess my perspective changed a little bit watching those two guys, and then especially then watching Stroud. Like this is a big, totally different type of quarterback. So maybe that's a little bit of my perspective changed watching those two guys, because I really wasn't expecting them to look like that. So I guess I don't know.
And then Bryce Young, man, like sometimes, man, we've seen it all the time, man. When players go to terrible situations, they can take a step back a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, and Bryce Young coming out, we see the talent, but he wasn't a big quarterback. I think that was like one of his biggest weaknesses, the fact his size or whatever. But the things that you're mentioning has nothing to do with size. Josh McCown was his QB coach. The owner was trying to make every decision on a football team, and like it was hopefully second year will be the charm for Bryce Young, because I think he's better than what we seen last year. That being said, just to bring it back to the Raiders, OTAs, positional at key position battles. No, all good, man. We talk football all the time on this channel, so it's all good. I was going to talk about the tight end position, but I think a big position battle that I think a lot of people ain't talking about is that other outside cornerback spot.
Yes.
Who do you think is going to win out? Do you think the Raiders are going to probably pick up a vet cornerback and then end up being the starter, or Jacorian Bennett? Hopefully he takes that second-year leap at that cornerback spot. What do you think about that spot on the team?
It's gonna be interesting with that one because I think Brandon Facyon's a little bit kind of slept on a little bit with this, and I think Telesco and them have a little bit of favor with him. And when I watched him play last year, like he had this great rep against the Colts. So I was just watching the Colts game the other day. He had a great rep against them. I think he played man coverage still. I think he has those long arms, and I think there's a lot of things you can work with him. But I think they want Jacorian Bennett to win because they drafted Jacorian Bennett. Jacorian Bennett I think he's getting the reps right now over Brandon Facyon at this point, and they want him to win. And I think he's a smart guy, obviously, because he was a starter week 1 last year, so obviously they feel comfortable with him in the system, right? And I think now though they have streamlined the system a lot. They play a lot of cover 3. Patrick Graham finally realized that he has Gus Bradley's personnel. And he's like, I might as well just play cover 3 here because this is the personnel I have around me. Like from Diablo, he's a Gus Bradley guy. Moraes, Gus Bradley. Nate Hobbs, Gus Bradley. These are Gus Bradley players. They're not like guys that maybe would be playing on different systems. Hobbs got that respect because he had a big year as a rookie. But who knows what he would have looked like in different systems if he didn't play for Gus Bradley playing in slot, right? So. I think, with that cover 3 system that they have and what they're doing there, I think Bennett can get that done. And also I think you could be a little versatile with Bennett because he played inside in college too. You can move him around a little bit. And I think that's going to give him a little bit of a leg up on Facyon, but I wouldn't sleep on Facyon. Facyon is the veteran. And if they feel comfortable with him playing, I wouldn't mind that too much. I think he's a solid corner. When I can say he's a above average corner or anything like that, but I think he's a solid player. He can get beat and stuff like that, of course, but I think he gets the job done.
It's crazy. Facyon, like he barely played last year due to injury. Yeah, and he wasn't on injury reserve or anything like that. Was he on injury reserve? I don't know if you guys remember.
No. I think did he go on injury reserve? I don't recall. I think he did go on injury reserve. I think he did go on injury reserve. I think he did.
Okay.
I think he did.
Okay. Yeah. He barely played, and obviously Jacorian Bennett had like a rookie wall. Like I felt like every time when it was a big time moment in the fourth quarter or something like that, at some point in the season, like people always forget. I keep bringing this up, but that Patriots game is a good example of it, where obviously Max Crosby had that game winning or that dagger of a safety, but right before that play, Mac Jones drops back, finds Devontae Parker. Parker drops the ball, but Devontae Parker was beating Jacorian Bennett down the field, and that's just one of the it just felt like that was happening a little bit too much. He was getting beat a little bit, and some of the players that were doing it, they weren't super talented. It wasn't like he was going against like the most talented guys on the outside, but yeah, Severe. I don't know if there's another position battle that you want to touch on with Mark. Pause.
Yeah, well, just back to corner. I mean, I kind of agree with him there. I mean, I think Facyon he's a very solid option. Ideally, Jacorian Bennett is the guy. Ideally, they draft somebody better than DeCamerion Richardson, but that's neither here nor there. But third down back. So my favorite. So a guy I was high on very early in the process. What was Dylan Laube? Dylan Laube was a guy I identified before the Senior Bowl as a guy like, hey, like watch out for this guy. This guy is a baller. Like he's playing for a small school. He's a white guy, but this guy is a baller, and I think he went to Senior Bowl. He did pretty well there, and then we ended up picking him up, man. So I think that Amir Abdullah. I think that's a battle right there, and I think Dylan Laube might take it. what are your thoughts on that battle right there?
Yeah, I think Dylan Lobby might take that battle too because Lobby blocks better than Amir Abdullah. Let's start there. Amir Abdullah is a willing blocker, but is he a good one? I mean, he gets bulldozed a lot. He gets bulldozed.
Yeah,
and I think Lobby has better talent there to kind of pick up blitzes and things like that. I think it's going to show up in camp in the one-on-ones when they do like the linebacker drills and stuff. Because it showed up at the Senior Bowl, right? You go check out the Senior Bowl film. He's blocking really well. And, he can do everything that Abdullah can do. And I think he has a little bit of upside as like a backer running back. Let's say a couple guys go down, right? I think he has some upside there because, the film I watched, I mean, the offensive line was getting their ass kicked because they're playing a little higher schools and stuff. But he if he had a hole, he does a good job of pressing the hole, hitting those holes really fast, and he's got a good burst. And he's and like I said, he could do everything as a wide receiver though, right? He could line him up.
Oh my goodness,
right? Yeah, he can run every route. He has a pretty damn good release. He tracks the ball well in the air. He can make contested catches. It's a lot of things that he can do really well as a wide receiver. And the blocking, though, is what's going to separate him from Amir Abdullah. Like, Abdullah just can't block better than he can. So, and when you want a third down back, that's what you want, really. I mean, yeah, do you want a pass catcher? But the reason why he's in on third down is because he can block, right? If usually the number one running back usually can do both for most part, especially in today's NFL. So if you want a third down back, you want a third down back that can catch too as well. But the main thing you want them to do is be able to block because if they're in that third down, just in case a blitz is coming and you could check it, then that guy can sit in there and he'll be able to pick it up and he'll know what to do and where to pick it up at. And he was never wrong on film. He was always at the right spot, blocking the right guy. And some teams would like do some kind of stunt blitzes where they would hide a guy and he would just, as soon as the guy popped up, he'd be just waiting there for him. He knew exactly where to go. So blocking though, that's where he's going to stand out over Abdullah, I believe, because I think Abdullah's a little washed there, in my opinion.
Yeah. Amir is definitely not a blocker, and it's surprising though because I didn't know Dylan Lobby, especially like you guys both have him winning out that third down back role as an undrafted rookie, which is crazy. You know what I mean?
Hey, he's 6 round pick. 6 round pick.
Oh yeah,
put some respect on that. Put some respect on that man's name.
Hey, my bad. Man,
put some respect on his name. And I think that the fact I think the return ability as well. I think that's also, especially with the new rules. I think that is I think that could be big. Yeah, I was watching a game. Well, first of all, I think he had another thing I noticed is that against the better competition, he had like his best games. Like it was a Central Michigan, he had like 200 something yards receiving.
295.
Yeah. Like I think Western Michigan was put their foot all in their like that was nasty to watch, man. That
receiving?
Was 95. Yeah, against Central Michigan. Yeah.
Was it like mostly screens? Like how was it?
Everything.
Nah, everything.
Screens.
Bro, everything. Cooking.
Go routes.
He was taking stuff to the house. He was making house calls, bro. He was making
house calls. He took a check down to the house, bro. Like checked it down to him. He just,
bro.
Damn.
Yeah. But yeah, Western Michigan had, I don't know if they must have said something about the coach's mama or what. Western Michigan had all kind of hands for him. All kind of hands.
Man.
No, that's crazy. But this is not like a huge position battle because I feel like both players are, they're going to get some snaps on the football field. It's Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
Being that they both play the same position, who do you see having a bigger role next year? I mean, obviously Bowers is number 13 pick. We talked about how talented he is. They're gonna try to use him as much as possible if Getsy does it right. You know what I mean? But you look at Mayer and you see him talk, and you can see it's like a newfound confidence. Last year they barely used him for whatever reason. Like they were trying to teach him a lesson. We're gonna have you block for. Like damn near the whole season. And I mean, I guess he's a better blocker now for it, but for us, it's like we can't score any points. Like, and we got a guy that could score in the red zone. Who do you think will have a bigger role next year, in your opinion, or have a bigger impact on the team? Is it Michael Mayer or Bowers?
Honestly, I think it's gonna be Mayer. Because I think Mayer's mad that they picked him. Mm-hmm. And I know people are saying that he's mad at McDaniel. No. That's like, what did you do? That's what that type of thing is. I mean, his whole aura and everything he was putting out in that press conference was a madman that was pissed that they drafted somebody to replace him, right? So I think he's going to play like as a madman, because I think before he got hurt last year, he was starting to become a chain mover, and a lot of I think the offense actually took an even bigger step back when he got hurt, right? And because he was becoming that type of guy where, if Devontae isn't getting open, he's going to get open. He's going to move the chains, and he's consistent too. It's not like, and he can make contested catches. He could do all those type of things, and he can run routes too. That's the thing. Like he's not a slouch.
Yeah,
he's no weak guy out there. So I still think that he's going to have a pretty good year, and I think he's going to try his hardest to make sure that Brock Bowers only comes out on 12 personnel. He's out there on 11 personnel. I think that's what his goal is. I'm the one out there on 11 personnel, and Brock Bowers is coming in when we want to do 12. And he's going to try to do his best to make sure he stays off the field. And I still think he's a beast. So it's a good problem to have, but I think he's going to emerge a little bit.
Yeah, and there's plenty of positional battles. I mean, we can get into the fourth receiver spot. Who's going to be that fourth receiver? You know what I mean? Who's going to be the undrafted guy that makes the team?
Michael
you know what
Gallup.
I mean? But there's going to be plenty of time to talk about it. That being said, going into next season, what would you say are your biggest concerns as of right now? What are your biggest concerns on the team? It could be coaching, it could be the players, it could be whatever, the schedule. You know what I mean? Just let us know.
I mean, my biggest concern is Luke Getsy, probably. So my concern with Luke Getsy is that he's a vertical passing guy, and a lot of people say he's a short passing guy, but honestly, he's a vertical guy. That's what he did at Mississippi State. He has some crazy. He's all these cool vertical concepts. They're pretty damn cool. He can mix it up. He have guys. He'll find the right matchup. He attacks certain leverages with post routes and all these things. But we don't have guys that can throw down. We don't have a quarterback that can throw downfield like that, right? So he's gonna have to try to mix it up as a short passing, and his short passing game is mundane and very vanilla. And that's what he is a little bit of my concern, because like Nathaniel Hackett, he comes under Nathaniel Hackett, right? He worked with him a lot. His short passing game is kind of very Hackettish, which I would say, right? And that's what concerns me, because this team has to be kind of a quick short passing team. So that's why I'm a little concerned about him. And
hold on,
that's
you said Hackettish? Oh,
Hackett. It is, man. It is. I'm not lying to y'all. It is very Nathaniel Hackett, like slant flat, slant flat, quick out, go. It's very mundane. So I mean, you're gonna probably see 8,000 choice routes with Devontae Adams. They thought Devontae Adams could be in that slot, running 800 choice routes all year, right? And which might be good for him and get him the football, but if teams set up ways to stop that, how is Getsy going to attack it? How is he going to get more creative? So hopefully Scott Turner's just not there collecting checks like he was last year. Hopefully they use Scott Turner a little bit in the passing game coordinator, and maybe he can bring some ideas in a short passing game, because he's actually pretty good there. That's what Scott Turner actually did well in Washington, especially moving around Terry McLaurin and finding ways to get him the football, right? Yeah. And he did a really good job with the short passing game. Last year, like I said, he's just collecting checks. I had no idea what he did last year. He didn't do a damn thing. There's no elements of West Coast offense and air choreo, nothing. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So hopefully he has some input there, and they actually take him serious as a passing game coordinator. Yeah. And he can help develop the short passing game, because literally, I'm telling you, Luke Getsy is not good there. And so so that's what I'm worried about. I'm a little worried about Luke Getsy a little bit, just because even what he did with Justin Fields, he could have mixed it up a little bit more in the run game with him, just trying to find different ways to make him effective. And I think he tried to make him into the quarterback that he wanted him to be, instead of just making him the best quarterback that he is. So I think there's a little bit there too. So to be honest, he's one of my biggest concerns, because we might be yelling at him by week 4, why are you calling all these screens? What the hell? Another slant flat? What the hell? That's my fear, to be honest.
Oh man, it's crazy. I've been saying it too, and I was hoping that you're going to tell me, Nah, man, you're wrong, bro. Like, I was waiting for you to just prove. I was like, oh man, all right, Marcus, he knows his stuff. So I'm going. But we basically have the same concerns as the fact that Luke Getsy and Devontae Adams, man. Hopefully he has 1,500 yards next season because this is your guy. This is your guy. AP for sure made the call or text him at least. Is like, hey, what do you think of Luke Getsy? Because I'm sure he's gonna talk, speak up for his guy. The guy that he was with. He was his wide receiver coach and his offensive coordinator at Green Bay, I think.
A passing game coordinator, I believe.
Passing game coordinator. So there's a familiarity there. So look, at the end of the day, like, man, I think runner up. I think is the running game. To me, the running game, because Zamir, as well as he played in a small sample size, we still don't know how it's going to look for like a full season. Is he going to stay healthy? What is this running back by committee going to look like? And if it's a running back by committee like Madison, are you super excited about him? And then after that, Britton Brown, is he going to be on the roster? You know what I mean? I don't remember the last time seeing him. And then after that, I really don't know who's going to make the team. I'm obviously Lobby, but he's more of a third down back. Mm-hmm. And then you said earlier, you were like, hey, look, if we can't run out of 12 personnel, then it kind of it messes up the offense a little bit, especially with the weapons that we have. We got 2 tight ends. Teams are going to cheat on the Raiders. They're going to see 2 tight ends like, oh, we'll just send a nickel defense. We don't gotta stop the run on here. So I feel like the run game is probably one of the biggest concerns. Sevilla, I don't know if I'm like forgetting anything else. I don't know what your thoughts on the biggest concerns going into next season.
Yeah, man. For me, the biggest concern is quarterback position. I know Marcus likes my guy. My guy ain't no
kind of elephant in the room, man. I didn't want to be. I want to be obvious.
and man, like I called Aiden O'Connell. I think like Raider fans love Aiden O'Connell. Like for most of them, like they love him for whatever reason. I called him Chad Pennington. And they said that was an insult. I'm like, bro, Chad Pennington was he was a very solid quarterback. Like, bro, he was solid. He was a very solid quarterback. Unspectacular. He, did his job. He was first round pick out of Marshall.
I think there was
he didn't hurt his shoulder. If Chad Pennington hurt his shoulder, we don't know.
Yeah.
To be honest.
He was solid, bro. He was solid.
Yeah. No. After shoulder injury, that's when he looked like he had a noodle arm. Like,
didn't he win NFL Comeback Player of the Year or something like that though? Didn't he come back win? Yeah. See, man, come on, man. Put some respect on that man's name too. But I don't have the same concerns about Zamir. I think Zamir White showed against the Chiefs, like, when Chad Pennington couldn't complete a pass for 3 quarters, he put the team on his back and got it done. But the second cornerback, I mentioned it earlier, man. I think our second cornerback, we are hoping we get the same Jack Jones as we got last year, and I'm expecting to get the same Jack Jones that we got, kind of when he came over from New England. But we don't know what we're going to get on the other side. Brandon Faison is solid, but he spent all last year basically hurt. And they must have loved him because they kept him around despite being hurt. Either they really loved him or they had absolutely no faith in Jacorian Bennett. It's one of the two. Because like he just was eating up a roster spot for most of the year. And him and Scott Turner was like playing Uno, like somewhere, collecting checks and not doing a damn thing. So that worries me because I'm not really a fan of DeCamerion. He's an athlete, but he's really light in the pants. Not really a good tackler. And I wasn't really a fan of that big a fan of him in coverage. I think he's an athlete, so he can run with guys and he can stay with guys, but he doesn't do the small things that you need a corner to do well. And he's not quite as bad as Isaiah Johnson, but kind of in that same mold where you got like a big athlete with length that can jump and can run, but they just don't really know how to play the position. The Camerion is better than Isaiah Johnson, but like how much better? And so I think that's going to be a big concern. Hopefully our pass rush can kind of mitigate it, But bro, if you're getting beat off the line of scrimmage, like like Max Crosby can he can only do so much. Christian Wilkins only do so much. So I think that is my biggest concern right there.
It's corner, man. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. I want to go back to before we get out of here because I appreciate you coming through, Marcus. I want to go back to what you said earlier because about Spencer Rattler and how we shouldn't have just taken him in the 5th round because obviously, we don't want to keep drafting these development guys that at the end of the day, what are they going to be like? We need to get the guy in the 1st round. But that being said, we passed up on that opportunity this year. I'm sure they tried to trade up. But at the end of the day, like we go into the season, let's say the Raiders win.
Yeah.
Where are they going to be picking in the 1st round? They're probably going to be in the latter part of the 1st round. How are they going to get that quarterback?
So I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I think if the Raiders win, right, if let's say they make the playoffs and Aiden O'Connell goes and just stinks it up or something like that in the playoffs.
Right.
I think that's going to give them even more leverage to be like, we need to get up and get a quarterback because we have the team to do it.
Right.
So I think it's going to give them even more of that what's the word I'm looking for? That I guess that
incentive.
Incentive to do that. I think that especially if they go out there and they play really well, they end up sneaking into the playoffs, and then they have a terrible quarterback performance and end up losing based on the quarterback. That's going to give them even more incentive to move up because I still think they're a little hesitant just because Aiden O'Connell was a 1-year player and like maybe can he get better, like it's that thought process, right? And that maybe it could happen, maybe there's some upside there, maybe he takes a leap, but then if they are successful this year and then it's just ugly as hell in the playoffs or it's ugly at the end of the year and they fall off, it's going to give them even more incentive to move up. And a lot of people are going to say this quarterback class is not very good, but we don't know that yet. I really like Donovan Smith out of Houston. I think he's 6'4", he's 240. He can move, he can throw, and I think he's a real sleeper type of guy. Nobody's talking about right now. Of course, it's Carson Beck. Of course, Sanders is gonna. I haven't really gotten to his film, but all I watch is the Oregon game, and that's not fair. So,
man,
yeah,
that's cold.
It's not fair. It's not. Cold. So. It's not fair. So I mean, like put like a breakdown of him. I can't. It's all I got. So it's not fair to do that to him. But I do think there's some better quarterbacks coming out than people think. So I think Carson Beck, he's a pretty good guy. But he's probably gonna go 1 because he's the SEC and Georgia's gonna beat Georgia or whatever, right? And but like a guy like Donovan Smith, those type of players that is gonna come out and has some big size, a lot of upside. Yeah, you can make something happen with these quarterbacks, but I don't know. This league's so quarterback crazy. I didn't think Bo Nix would go 12. So I don't know, man. But
yeah,
I think go ahead.
Yeah,
my bad.
No, not to cut you off, man. But I think the main thing that I was trying to say is I'm not saying that the Raiders don't want to get a quarterback. What I'm saying is the position that they're going to be in if they let's say win and go to the playoffs, it's going to make it that much harder to get the top QBs that you're saying that we need to get. And we have a GM that really doesn't trade up. He just picks the players at where they're at. Like even Justin Herbert, did the Chargers trade up and get Justin Herbert? No, Herbert fell into their laps, right? If it was Tua, from what reports were saying, Tua would have been the guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. So my thing is that you got a GM that rarely trades up. He has, but it's it's rare, and we're going to be in a position where we're going to be picking in a later. Let's say everything goes well next season and we make the playoffs, right? We could be 1 and done. Obviously, we look at Aiden O'Connell or Minshew, and every game that we lost, it was against good quarterback play, and we just weren't able to overcome that. But we were good enough to compete and go to the playoffs, right? So we know that that's a big position that we need to upgrade. But if we're picking in the later parts of that 1st round, it's going to be hard to get the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks that you're talking about. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
I agree with that. But like let's say like the Bears. I mean, when they drafted Fields, they weren't expecting Fields to fall to 11, and they were picking at 20, and they traded up to get him. So you just don't know how the draft is always going to fall too. and so you can mix it up that way. But I understand what you're saying. Like, when you don't just keep bringing in quarterbacks to develop, you don't have that chance to trade up if your team's good enough, especially how they expect to play on defense, right?
Yeah.
But also, I mean, we also don't know what veterans are going to be available too.
Yeah.
That's a different thing too, because I know
No,
the Raiders
don't
fans
say
listen.
it. Don't say his name. Do not.
Hey,
You better not say his name.
to be honest though, before you even say his name,
I already knew he was going.
Before you even say his name, Marcus, what do you think about this? The Raiders probably should have been aggressive to get a quarterback the year prior, the year before this year.
Yeah. No,
Obviously, I'm not gonna say the obvious. C.J. Stroud, obviously, okay, yeah, that's pretty obvious. But I feel like at number 7, they probably could have got into the top 4, top 5, top 4, and probably got a combination of, I don't know, Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young. Like it could have been done. From the Raiders were one of the 2 teams that were talking about trading up to number 1, so that means they were they were pretty close to making it happen.
They should have last year, but they would have took Bryce Young, because I mean that was his thing. Like, because Bryce Young ran their system with Bill O'Brien, so that's all Josh McDaniels wanted. He's like, I want the guy who runs my system. He's like, C.J. Stroud, he's too black for me, because they had Michael Lombardi out there slandering him, and we all knew that came from him. So he came in. It was too much. So because Michael Lombardi was that when he started slandering, saying he can't be coached and all that other shit. I was like, that's
man. But we got Tom Telesco. He comes from the Bill Polian tree, so
I know.
Exactly. Try to move CJ Stroud to tight end or something. This guy. Man. But I think the one thing that might play into our favor last year over next year, because like I was big on, like, my 2 top guys were Jaden Daniels and Michael Penix. Like, I was like, look, do what we can to get those guys, just because not only their pedigree as a player, I have concerns about Caleb Williams as a leader, not necessarily his talent, but him as a leader. So that's why I wasn't as high on him as some people. Those are my 2 guys, and I said early on, like, hey, we're gonna have to take Michael Penix in the first round, and I was like laughed out of every room. And then he went 8, and but I think the fact that there were 6 that were taken in the first round, I think that makes teams less likely to take quarterbacks next year. Like, maybe the team that shall not be named, let their quarterback that shall not be named go. But even then, like, do they have faith in Trey Lance? Like, is that the guy that they have faith in being the next guy? What does Pittsburgh do with Russell Wilson? He kind of on a 1-year deal, and then they kind of have to make a decision on Justin Fields. But I just don't think there's quite as many teams that's going to be they're going to be looking for quarterbacks. So I think that might play into our favor. If we're anywhere in those early 20s to late teens, we can do what. The Chiefs moved up to what 11? What was it? Patrick Mahomes at 11? They took.
Yeah, they went 27 to 10.
Yeah, to 10. So maybe it's a situation where like, and that team was kind of ready made. It's like, hey, Alex Smith can only take us so far. It's maybe a situation where we look at Aiden O'Connell, like, you've taken us as far as you can take us, sir. We appreciate you. Now you can go on the sideline. You can hold this iPad and help us. So I mean, maybe it's that situation. It's not a lot of guys I like in next year's draft. Like, I really don't like Beck. Like, Beck he's like a big, strong, like, strapping young man, like a strong arm. But I don't really like him. Same with Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers is like throwing the ball. He's throwing the ball all over the place. Like, oh God, like, come on, bro. Like hit a receiver in his hands, please. And then Shador is like kind of the guy, but I have concerns about Deion Sanders and his influence on his career, and when it's time to like negotiate a contract. Remember Deion Sanders told, who did he tell? Did he tell the Buccaneers he was going to ask for so much money they'll have to put him on layaway? Like, so it could be a situation like that. So I like, it's not real. I mean, but there could be a guy that pops up later in the process that impresses everybody. So we'll kind of see, but. Yeah, man, it's just we're putting a lot of faith in Aiden O'Connell right now, man. So, 26-year-old Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah, man. And then, the funny thing too about Aiden O'Connell is, like, he could play good enough where it gives him another year. Then he plays good enough to give him another year. Then he gives him another year and another year.
The purgatory continues.
Yeah, we've seen it time and time again. Like we've seen it with Derek Carr. We've seen it with Matt Schaub. We've seen it with like these quarterbacks who are, they're good enough. But then when is good enough not enough? Like, and that need to start. I don't know who's gonna. I don't know if it's gonna come down from Mark Davis. Is it gonna come down from AP? Gonna be the guy that's gonna be like, you know what, we need to go after and get that quarterback. But if he's winning,
Kirk Cousins parlayed that into a whole bunch of money, man. Kirk Cousins has parlayed just good enough into a bunch of money. Like, man, bunch of money.
Yeah. I personally think AP is the problem with Aiden O'Connell. I think he likes Aiden O'Connell too much. I think he loves Aiden.
Oh, damn.
AP
needs to go then.
I'm not saying he needs to go, but because he's calling Eli Manning. He reminds me of Eli.
The chat about to go crazy right? Now.
You know what I mean? Because Eli was not very good when he started either. But it's just the demeanor. Because Aiden O'Connell does have the demeanor to handle Raiders fans. Right, the Raiders fans, he plays bad. They attack him and they say all those things about him. I think he has a demeanor to handle that. He's not going to get all sensitive and like say all these things about him and react or anything like that. I think yeah. You know what I mean? But he has a demeanor for that, and I think that's what AP likes. I think AP likes that he has that professional demeanor, and that's why I think they weren't as aggressive to get a quarterback too, because I think AP does really like Aiden O'Connell. Because I even think Telesco probably brought Minshew in to have more of a chance to get a starting job, and I think AP's like, nah, man, we going with Aiden. So
that's interesting.
We'll see. I mean, that's just my perspective on that.
Yeah, that's interesting because I think what it's going to take is to lose those games against some good quarterback play where the defense plays great. We run the ball. We do everything right. Aiden O'Connell, 100 yards, 2 interceptions. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And AP is going to feel that pressure. He's like, all right, we need to figure out a way to get this quarterback no matter what, whoever that is. It might be we sign a guy. Hopefully it's the guy we get through the draft. That's like best case scenario. But we'll see, man. But Marcus, my guy, you were able to stay longer than I expected, man. I appreciate you coming through. As you can see it on the screen, y'all, man, you can find him all over social media. The Mark John NFL, mostly on Twitter. You're pretty active on there. And then also on other platforms as well, social media platforms? Is it?
Yeah, we are on TikTok, so I'll be posting on TikTok sometimes too as well. Instagram, TDL.Raiders. TikTok is just at Tape Don't Lie. So yeah, those are the best we're at.
And obviously, man, if you haven't already, man, make sure to go over to Tape Don't Lie on YouTube, man. One of the best Raider channels out there, breaking down film all day, every day, dropping a whole lot of content these days, man, like crazy. But so make sure to check them out, subscribe, hit that notification bell, all that like button, all that good stuff, man. Support my guy, man. I appreciate you coming through, man. It's been a great show, man. Till next time. Oh yeah, the show will still continue on. By the way, the show
exactly. You got that.
Yeah, we do not leave, y'all. If y'all in the chat, right, do not leave, man. But Mark, obviously Mark has got to go, man. But we appreciate you coming through. All right, bro.
All right, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yep. Yeah. We back, man. What's going on, y'all? Hey, man. Let me move this out the way, man. Hold on 1 second. Hey, man, that was a great interview. Great guest to have, man. Marcus, if you guys don't know him from Tape Don't Lie, make sure to check him out on his channel. Obviously, you can find him all over social media as well. On Twitter, I believe the Mark John NFL. My guy knows his stuff, man. Tape Don't Lie, man. Right. As the name suggests, man. We appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to click in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and just to give y'all a friendly reminder.
Welcome to the 50-50 Show.
All right, man. We got a lot to talk about, man. There's some things that happened over the weekend. I think the chat kind of mentioned it a little bit. They're talking about a few things. We'll start with, the usual. Flag on the play.
Personal foul.
Yes, sir.
69. Offense. He was giving them the business.
Man. Josh Jacobs recently was on a podcast for, I think, Chris Long. I think Chris Long has a podcast. He has a YouTube channel. Shout out to him. And he had Josh Jacobs there. He had an interview, and obviously Josh Jacobs been a Raider all his life. He can't help but answer questions about his his career with the Raiders. So I'm going to go ahead and play what we feel like is a flag on the play, man. Because he was throwing shots, low-key, man. He was throwing shots. Unnecessary shots, man. He didn't have to do it. He didn't have to do it. Low-key, high-key, man. But let me go ahead and put this on the screen, and I'm going to let y'all be the judge, man. And y'all can judge if this is a flag on the play. I know Severe got a lot to say, but before we get to that, I'm going to go ahead and play this clip. And here we go.
Was it hard for you in that 4 or 5 year period, the beginning of your career, to say, like, am I ever going to get out? You know, like, was that stressful?
No, definitely. Like, and that went in part to like me leaving too. You know, like, and I told him, I'm like, man, coming from Alabama, like, I went to championship every year I was there. Like, you feel me? Like, every year.
Yeah.
Like, I remember coming to the league and losing my first game, and I was mad, not talking to nobody. And a vet come up to me and like, this the NFL, like, you gonna lose. I'm like, so y'all cool with losing? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was so different. You know what I'm saying? For me, it was so different. So like, that was one thing. Like, and then the most frustrating thing about it all, I feel like, especially when you got like me, you know, Tay and Max, and you got guys that come in every day and work hard, and you don't get the results. And then it get to the point where like, okay, I'm working hard and I'm doing every little detail, every little step, and I'm still not getting the results. So like, I didn't have the answers. That was a big thing for me too, man. I'm like, man, y'all want me to come back on a discount and lose? Like, I don't know how I feel about that.
Was it hard for you?
So man, hey, I'm gonna let Severe, man, just take this one. I will say he did say some things that I could understand, you know, coming from a player that's frustrated with losing. You know, they're just to be honest, the Raiders, you know, have had their fair share of instability. But Severe, man, what are your thoughts on this clip, man? Why do you feel like this is a flag on the play? Former Raider Josh Jacobs coming out and say what he said.
So I can do a whole hour show about all the things wrong with what Josh Jacobs just said right there, bro. I can literally, but I'm gonna keep it brief. I'm gonna keep it on some main points. So the first thing that immediately comes out is he's talking about he's one of the hardest guys, hardest workers on the team, and he's always coming up in shape. But as we know, this very last year, he showed up out of shape, was ineffective, you know, for most of the year, and then ended the year injured. And then from what I heard, there were players on the team that were kind of became disenchanted with Josh Jacobs because they felt at the end of the year he could have played and he elected not to. So we'll leave that there. The other part of it is that his answer there kind of informs you about who he is as a person, because he's coming from a winning situation where they're used to winning. And then he is, you know, obviously upset about losing. And a veteran player approaches him to, hey, you know what? Like, you got to learn how to, when you're in the NFL, you have to learn how to compartmentalize, right? You can't get too high or too low. So when you do, you're kind of riding the wave of how well the team is doing instead of, hey, you know what? Move on from this and focus on the task at hand, which is the next week game, right? You watch that game, learn what you can learn from it, then you flush it. You also have to understand the context of these things. As I'm telling you, hey, you know what? This ain't college no more, bro. You don't have, you know, 4 Hall of Famers on your offensive line and, you know, 6 Pro Bowlers on your defensive line and 2 All-Pro wide receivers, right? You're in the league. The NFL has the most parity just about of any league possibly in the entire world. So even the best teams lose. You're going to lose. Get used to losing. Learn how to lose gracefully and in the right way. And instead of taking that lesson that this veteran player was trying to give him and saying, you know what, dang, let me learn from this guy. He's like, oh, well, y'all like losing over here? Like, come on, bro. Like, you sound stupid. Like, if I'm shooting jump shots and I miss a shot and I'm throwing a hissy fit about, you know, missing the jump shot, and somebody comes over to me like, yo, bro, like, you know, hey, you know what? You're going to miss some jump shots. My first reaction is going to be like, hey, well, you like bricking shots? Like, nah, bro. It's like, you understand. You're not going to win every game. You're not going to make every shot. The best quarterbacks of ever are not going to make every pass. Some of the best wide receivers ever have dropped passes. Some of the best running backs ever have missed holes, fumbled. Some of the best tackles have missed blocks. Like you have to learn how to compartmentalize these things. And it's only the most immature people, the most self-centered people that would take that lesson and turn it into something else. And that's exactly what Josh Jacobs did. That's exactly why he's gone. Exactly why I'm happy he's gone. Exactly why I've been saying for 2 years I wanted him gone. And good luck up there in Green Bay.
Hey man, and you know the biggest flag, man. He didn't have to take that shot at the end. That was a shot at the Raiders, man. At there,
Oh,
I didn't want
definitely.
to take a discount to lose. So basically saying that the Raiders are gonna lose. You know, he's already saying it. So it'd be funny, be ironic if the Raiders go out next year and they make the playoffs and the Packers don't. You know, that'd be
the only
funny.
reason I didn't fault him for that is because I think he was talking about under the Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler regime, if he's talking about that time. And you know, I think that the overarching sentiment among a lot of people on the team was like, yeah, these guys don't know what they're doing, so this is a losing situation. So that's why I didn't fault him for that, even though, you know, he probably could have kept that to himself. But I think a lot of people on the team weren't happy with the direction of the team. So I didn't fault him so I gave him grace on that one. But I feel what you're saying too. Like you're looking at the situation already saying like, oh, y'all about to lose. So why am I, you know, like, okay, sure. We'll see.
Yeah, and that was the flag on the play this week, man. And yeah, man, salute to Marcus, man. Marcus is knowledgeable, man. He's tape don't lie, man. He studies tape. That's why we have him on, man. Hey, make sure to go check out Tape Don't Lie on YouTube. One of the best Raiders channels out there, man. Check them out. Yeah, man. Look, like my guy Daniel Kim is saying right here, man. We gonna show love, man. Came through, showed us. It was a great interview. Marcus never changed. Oh man. Hey, the chat be talking so much trash. Today, I think Daniel was saying that this is the most you've blocked. Let me see. Let me. I think you said something to that effect earlier. Oh yeah, I think earlier right here you said Tape Don't Lie is a dope channel, but bring in the crazy into the chat. I haven't booted that many people in a while. Hey man, shout out to the king of mods, Daniel Kim, man. You holding it down, man. We appreciate you. Yeah, it was crazy today, man.
That's Pharaoh, man. Pharaoh blowing up, man. You know you blowing up. You know when you got trolls in the chat, bro. That's when you know you big time, brother.
And Severe knows how to just get under their skin. Nah, man. Hey, we appreciate the love, man. But you know, keep it respectful at the end of the day, man. That's that. Hey, we're okay with the difference in opinion, but it's just when you get a little disrespectful, then you got to go. Just straight up, like that's just as simple as that. You got to go, man. But yeah, man. Let's move it along, man. I know, you know, Dan Kim said you dropped the mic on that one. Yep, facts.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, and man, I agree. Packers aren't guaranteed to win either because the NFL, like the way it's set up, like, you know, it's a year-to-year league. It's a week-to-week league. Like, you got to stay healthy. A lot of things got to go your way in order to win and make it to the playoffs. So I do like the Packers' young talent. Don't get me wrong. Like, I like the young talent. I like what I've seen from Jordan Love. I like the receivers. Their coach seems like a solid play caller. You know what I mean? Like, they got some good things about them. But, you know, when you talking like this, you better back it up, man. Hey, man, he better. And you know what? If he has a huge season next season, then, hey,
power to him, man.
He's backing up what he's saying. But if the Raiders make the playoffs, then look, he's gonna be looking crazy at the end of the day. But we're gonna move it along, man. We're gonna move it along, and we're gonna move it along to notable quotables. Notable quotables, and the other day, this weekend, former Raider Darren Waller, he announces his retirement from the NFL. We kind of seen it coming though.
Yeah.
We seen it coming, and the chat was talking about it. I'm gonna go ahead and play the clip of him announcing his retirement real quick. We just take a look at it. We don't have to play the whole thing, and this is him. Let's see here. Let me go ahead and share the screen.
Clear, I almost just lost my life, and I don't know if I really feel like if I would have died that I would have felt great about how my life was going if I died at the time. I'm doing something that I found a lot of joy in and have had amazing moments with. But the passion has slowly been fading. I've made the decision that I'll be retiring from the NFL. There's eternally grateful for the game of football. I wouldn't be able to have this conversation or to think things through or be self-reflective if it wasn't for an opportunity to save my life and go to rehab, which the NFL offered me. They also gave me an opportunity to, reestablish myself, to, come back into the world and do something productive.
So that's Darren Waller. That was a small clip of him pretty much announcing his retirement. I kind of seen it. We kind of seen it coming. I mean, the fact that we were hearing that he couldn't tell the Giants that if the Giants were trying to convince him to come out of retirement, he was taking his time to come out with a decision. It kind of told us you know what? And I forgot what player said this. I forgot it was a former player, and they were like, "Hey, when you start thinking about retiring, when you start thinking about leaving the game or whatever, that's your time to. You better call it quits because you can get hurt out there, man." So and you could just tell with everything going outside of his personal life, it's all highly publicized with him and his wife and stuff like that. And the video, the video coming out, and it just you kind of seen it coming. You kind of seen it coming. But at the end of the day, man, I to be honest with you, a lot of people for some reason got a lot of hate with Darren Waller. I don't know what it is. I don't feel that way. Darren Waller, think about where his start. The Raiders picked him up out of the practice squad.
Exactly.
Whether it was John Gruden, whoever, they were able to identify Darren Waller as a talent, picked him up off the Ravens practice squad, and he eventually became a Pro Bowler for the Raiders. Pro Bowler tight end, had over 100 catches, over 1,100, well over 1,000 yards receiving. Made him one of the best tight ends in the league. Got him paid. I mean, he had a solid career. He had a solid career. Now, is it an all-time great? No. Could have been an all-time great? Possibly. Possibly. But at the end of the day, I think the Giants got more hate in Darren Waller than Raider fans. Let's be honest.
Facts. I mean, rightfully so. I mean, I think it was John Gruden. I mean, if the story that John Gruden tells, you never know, with these guys. But John Gruden saw him practicing, and then it reminded him of first-round tight end bust. Well, I ain't saying necessarily bust, but underwhelming first-round tight end Noah Fant. The guy that got drafted in the first round. I think the Broncos drafted him in the first round, and it kind of reminded him of him. So that's when they picked him up. And then, he played well. And then, we signed him early, like we should do with Malcolm Kuntz. Got him on the cheap. And he played well for that contract too. And then once it was time to give him big money, I think what Raider fans don't like about him is that when he was hurt and not playing, then he dropped that Turf Toe song. I think that's when the tide started kind of turning against Darren Waller. But man, like I said, I never really had a problem with him. Like we didn't not like we dropped him in the first round or anything like that. So, and he played well for us, man. He played well for us. I think that if he stayed healthy, he would have been a heck of a weapon. We got a 3rd round pick out of him. It was like we picked him up for nothing. They turned him into a 3rd round pick, bro. So I'm not upset about that at all.
Yeah, I don't really have anything negative to say about Darren Waller. At the end of the day, we all know the NFL is a business. He eventually got traded from the Raiders. The Raiders got a 3rd round pick out of it, and he ended up retiring with the Giants. I mean, if you're a Giants fan, you're like, damn, we didn't get a chance to watch him as a talent. And I think the crazy thing is they were going through the same things that we were going through with Darren Waller in his his last few years with the Raiders, where we're super excited. We're thinking that he's going to have a big season. I think last year the Giants were talking about how he had a great chemistry, great connection with Daniel Jones, and then he misses about 5 games, or at least 5 games or something like that. So he was hurt last year. So And what the clip kind of cut off a little bit, but he kind of mentioned that he almost died.
Yeah.
So that's another thing too. Like, you know, at the end of the day, like if you had a health scare like that, and anytime you have a health scare just in life, like you're gonna be reevaluating everything. So, yeah. And at this point, he wanted to move on for football, man. Good luck to him. Will he retire a Raider? I wouldn't be mad at it. I wouldn't be mad at it.
I wouldn't hate it. Like the one thing I don't want to give him the credit for it, because I don't know if it was his credit. Like, I'd have to look at the interviews about it, but I know his story about overcoming addiction is a very, very powerful story, and I want to say he had an influence on Max Crosby overcoming his addiction. And if that's the case, then, you know, he gave us, you know, he helped give us who I think is probably the best defensive player in the league now that Aaron Donald has retired. So if that, I'd have to check the interviews on that, because I think Max said something about that. But yeah, man, his story has inspired a lot of people, man. So, you know, he played well while he was here for the most part. I think he left gracefully. He left the league gracefully, you know, and he didn't spit on us on the way out like somebody else.
Yeah, I don't think I'm trying to think of anything that he might have said negative about the team on his way out. You know, sometimes people they salty, you know, it didn't end the way they wanted to end. So sometimes people, I don't think I've ever heard Dan Wallace say anything bad about the Raiders. He might have said something bad about maybe McDaniels in that regime, but can you blame him at this point? Like, I think Raider Nation someone got something to say about McDaniels at this point.
I think the only thing I would say is that remember he was mad at McDaniels and he didn't invite McDaniels to his wedding, and I don't know what was shorter, McDaniels' tenure as a Raiders coach or Darren Waller's marriage to the WNBA player.
Oh my God.
They both lasted about a year.
Man, that's a whole different conversation for another day, man. But yeah, that Darren Waller announces retirement from the league, man, which is crazy to think about, because he's still young enough to play, still talented enough to play. It just health and other things outside of football probably factored in his decision, man. Good luck to him. Man, once Raider, always Raider. You know what it is. But let's move on to the. You say that again. except Josh McDaniels, yeah, for sure.
Or Josh Jacobs too.
Hey man, Severe's on fire today. All right, man. Let's move it along to the next notable quotable, and this one is actually from today, man. Raiders Media Day. If you missed it, Raiders had a media day where, you know, players, coaches, all that good stuff, they're able to talk. And this one, if you want to let the people know what this one is about, let before I play it real quick. Let me see here. And I think it's the one with AP.
Yes.
Go ahead and play this real quick. Oh man, I'm doing something totally wrong.
So basically, it's just to preface the quote. JT the Brick was saying something about like the Raiders QB situation, how everybody wants to ask about what the Raiders QB situation is going to be, and then he basically was saying, like, you know what, there's not enough focus on the defense, and then, you know, they started talking about Christian Wilkins, and then AP kind of took over from there.
All right, here we go.
The defense, with that signing to play along Kuntz and Max, how different is that now as you look at the scheme and how you're going to win close games?
Really different.
Yeah.
And you don't know that until you watch practice. And you with Christian each and every day. The other day we went over here to the Aces, played a little basketball, a little team bonding. You know who the best player was? Christian Wilkins. Not even close. We're all sitting there like, what in the world is this?
Right.
300-pound man dunking, and doing all this stuff that he's able to do. But more importantly, the love, the leadership, the passion, the desire to win. We got to bring in winners.
Yeah.
We got to bring in guys that want to win, that's going to strain. There's two gentlemen that's in this building every day before coaches. Max Crosby, Christian Wilkins. They happen to be on the same D line playing next to each other. God bless everybody else. Don't worry about our quarterback, buddy. Worry about yours. Worry about yours.
Facts, man. Facts. 100%.
Mic drop moment right there, man. Mic drop moment from AP sounds like a coach, bro. Everything he said sounds like it's coming from a coach's mouth, man.
He said, "Don't worry about our quarterback. Worry about yours." And before he said that, he broke down how effective this D line. You know what's crazy? The craziest thing that he said the best basketball player on the team. He said it was Christian Wilkins. That was crazy.
Or that day, that day. No, Christian Wilkins might have just been in his bag that day.
And I think that's a shot at guys like Devontae Adams, Devontae Adams and guys like Max Crosby. Yeah. So that's kind of interesting.
Jacoby's supposed to be nice. Nate's supposed to be nice too.
That's funny. But yeah, man. Hey, look, I couldn't agree more, man. At the end of the day, like that's what it's gonna come down to. This team, the defense has to be their calling card. And I think that's kind of the main message that AP is trying to say. Like, hey, we got a defense here. We feel like that can help this team win games and hopefully lead them to the playoffs. Obviously, the quarterback position is important, but hey, if we've said it before, look, and we said this with Marcus too. All guys like Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew have to do is pretty much just protect the football. They don't have to win the game out there. Get the ball to the playmakers, and let it go from there. I mean, you made a joke the other day. You were like, "Hey, man, they might have to do a little bit more after losing 3-0." But I'm trying to think, did Aiden O'Connell turn the ball over that game? I'm not sure. But that being said, like at the end of the day, I
don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. But that was funny. That was funny.
Yeah,
but at the end of hey, look, all I'm saying is, hey, the defense needs to lead the team. And I couldn't, hey, man, AP, man, he's getting me fired up every day. Every time he talks, bro. I'm telling you right now, man.
Yeah, man.
We got a guy at head coach.
And we do, man. And look, I will be the first to say it, man. I initially was not on the AP train, man. And I know a lot of people were, and I had to see it first. I wanted to see it, and still, the jury is still out. This is still we're still in that feel good phase of the off season, because we haven't actually played any games yet. But man, I'm liking everything. All the moves he's making so far, man, are the moves that would be necessary for a guy with his experience level to be successful in this league. He's just surrounded himself by people who have had success, who have experience. He talked about in that interview right there how when he's in meetings with Marvin Lewis and with Joe Philbin and like his other coaches, and it's like a round table where everybody has input into what's going on, and it's not really any hierarchy, no egos in there. Everybody's just pushing forward, basically on one accord. So when you see a guy like that, who's completely opposite of the last coach we had, where there's absolutely no ego and he's willing to listen to others and take what they have to say into account and rely on their knowledge and their wisdom, man, especially when you're a young head coach in the league. That speaks volumes to who he is as a person, man. And generally, those type of people, they have success. I mean, there's a I don't remember exactly when this was said, but basically, like one time at Henry Ford, I think he was on trial. I think he was being sued, and they were asking him questions, all kind of questions about like his car company, like, oh, what about this and what about that and what about this, and he really didn't know the answers to any of those questions, and basically the person was like, man, like, do you know anything? He's like, why do I have to know all this stuff when I could surround myself with people that know all of these things and rely on their information, right? So,
right.
When there are lapses in your knowledge, you hire or you acquire the talent to fill those holes and those lapses. And I think Antonio Pierce, his biggest knock was his inexperience. I think he's hired very experienced coaches.
Yeah. And as time goes on, at the end of the day, we're gonna have to see it on Sundays.
Exactly.
But hey, man, I'm telling you, something about AP. I just hope that Lou Getsy can develop A solid offense. That's all we need. Just better one. But you know what? Going back to last year, like we can only go up. I mean, it can't get worse than last year. I mean, at the end of the day, the offense last year was.
I would never say that again.
Whew. Oh man, you know what? I'm gonna knock on wood. I'm not even gonna put that. I'm not gonna even put that in the world. But you know what? Hey, this is a random update. Random update. And I seen this early today. I don't know if anybody's seen this. Aaron Wilson and some other people in the media reported that the Texans, Raiders, Giants, Rams, Commanders, and Dolphins. Let me see if I can share this on the screen for you guys to see. Let's see if it's gonna show up well. Let's see if it's gonna show up well. All right, so you can see right here, multiple NFL teams, including the Texans, Raiders, Giants, and Rams, Commanders, Dolphins, made prospective contract offers or serious inquiries about signing Steven Nelson. This is a guy that we talked about in the offseason about like a possible addition at cornerback. Yeah. But we all found out today or over the weekend that he pretty much announced his retirement. So, and the Raiders, what's interesting is the Raiders made an offer, or at least, try to put their bid in and try to see if there's a possibility they can sign a Steven Nelson, which means they're definitely in the veteran cornerback market. So let's keep an eye on that. But then with news about Xavier Howard, I think I'm not even trying to get into all that. But just know that Xavier Howard is going to be we can cross him off the list. So Steven Nelson, Xavier Howard, they're going to be crossed off the Raiders list at the veteran quarterback, which leaves a guy that I talked about, Stephon Gilmore. He's out there. He's out there, man. He's out there. I know you're not super excited about it because I don't know he didn't have the best of years last year, but man, you got a veteran cornerback who's been there, done that, had success, defensive player of the year, and you got a young cornerback room. It just got to be, in my opinion, let it be an incentivized contract, 1-year deal. Because I know he wants to get it paid a little bit. Because I think with the cornerback market dwindling, I think that it works out in his favor as far as what his contract is going to be. So if they can get maybe incentive-based contract with Stephon Gilmore, I wouldn't be mad. What would that look like? How much would you pay for 34, 35-year-old Stephon Gilmore? What would you say his market is? Contract?
He's going to want double digits. He's going to want double digits.
Ah, man.
And think about it, like, what reason would he want to come to the Raiders outside of money? It's not like he doesn't really have any connections to anybody on this coaching staff. This isn't a team that's expected to be in contention for a Super Bowl. So it's like, outside of this being like a no income tax state, and then us offering more money than everybody else, like, why would he? Like, and then not like we have like some up and coming young corner prospect where it's like, what, I would really want to be the guy to help mentor this guy. Like, it's like we like, outside of money, there's not really a lot of attractive stuff for a guy like for him at this stage in his career. And maybe if he had some connections to somebody, or maybe he just has seen AP from afar, he just wanted to play for a guy like AP. Maybe that could be the reason, but I don't see that. I don't see a lot of interest that we could really garner, from him outside of paying him more. So if it come down to like him wanting all that money, I'd rather just roll with Faison or, see if we can get a Dory. Like I'd rather do something like that. 'Cause at least Dory's he went to college on the West Coast, so he went to Sarah, West Coast guy. At least that there's some connection there for him, but I don't see a connection for Gilmore outside of money.
Yeah, and he's probably trying to go to the best team with the best quarterback. He's going to try to see what team is closer to winning a Super Bowl right now at this stage of his career, if he can, But I'm just saying, if it's a possibility, we should look into it. I'm sure the Raiders are doing their due diligence. But the thing about Adoree Jackson is just health, bro. Like, what kind of contract are you giving him? Like, is he going to make it out of training camp? Like, I don't know. It has to be like a veteran minimum contract for sure.
that's a guy you give incentive laden contract. That's a guy you give like games played, snaps played. You put all that kind of stuff where you can give him I feel you, Uso. That's a guy you give one of those kind of deals to where it's like, you know what, you're incentivized to stay on the field. If you're on the field and you're playing well, then you earn that money. But if you're not on the field and you're not playing well, then you don't get that money. So I think he's the perfect candidate for that. And I think the fact that we're on the West Coast, he gets to come back to a warm weather state, um, you know, play for PG, who I think I want to say he played for PG in New York. So there's a connection right there as well. So I think it makes a lot more sense for a guy like Adoree'. I'm pretty sure Antonio Pierce might have been around. He might have been a college coach around the time he was coming out. So, or around the time he was like, um, in school. So that's another thing right there. He probably has a relationship with them there as well too. So, I think that all that stuff it adds up a little bit more.
Ray Love says, "How about a trade for Jalen Ramsey?" I wish, but I mean, didn't the Dolphins give up a first round pick to get a Jalen Ramsey or something? It was at least like at the very least a second rounder.
The Rams gave up 2. I want to say. I don't know what the Dolphins gave up for him.
Look, so my main point is they just traded for a Jalen Ramsey. They just traded from like what? He's only been with the team for like a year now.
A year.
Like 1 year.
Yeah.
So they lost Xavier Howard in free agency. I'm not sure if they're willing to give up Jalen Ramsey, like one of their best cover corners in the NFL, and on their team. So I don't think it's gonna happen. And then what would the price tag look for a Jalen Ramsey?
I think he has a pretty big contract. I think he has a big. I think that's part of the reason. I think that's part of the reason why the Rams had to let him go, just because of the money. Because I mean, they had been moving around money for so long that I think it finally had caught up to him. So they kind of had to move on from him, and so I think that's why Miami was able to pick him up. We are a team that he said he had interest with in the past, though.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm not going there either, man.
And if you trade for like Jalen Ramsey with his contract, that kind of takes some of these extensions for some of these guys kind of get off the table. Like guys like Kuntz, guys like Nate Hobbs. We all know Jalen Ramsey is prime. He's a primetime player. He's a blue chip player. I'm not gonna lie, but it's just how much is too much.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to get into the sweepstakes for Jalen Ramsey at this point. But if he's coming in with a later round pick, mid round pick, then I wouldn't mind. Especially because we're not paying. It's not like we're paying a quarterback tens of millions of dollars a year. Like it's not like the Raiders are paying a quarterback right now. So it's kind of the perfect time to be aggressive and get guys at other positions. And even though they're getting paid, that you can get away with it because the quarterback's not getting paid right now. I think you got Mark Minshew on a pretty reasonable deal if you think about it, and then obviously AOC's on a rookie deal. So you can be aggressive in the trade market, but I'm not sure if the Raiders do that. Space B says Wilkins is a rare free agent signing that fit is perfect. No, facts. And you know what? This is going to be the segue to what's real, what's not. And the statement is pretty much, with the improvements on the D-line, Max Crosby will have a career high in sacks next season. Is that real or is it not?
That's not, man. I think Christian Wilkins being there, I think it's going to free up Max. I think it's going to free up Kuntz. I think it's going to free up Tyree. But I think that all those guys are going to eat a little bit more. I think that Max Crosby is going to take a minor step back or stay essentially where he's at, that 15 to 16 range in terms of sacks. And I actually think Malcolm Kuntz has a career year. I think they're going to be a lot of focus on Max, a lot of focus on Christian Wilkins. So that's why I think we should sign Malcolm Kuntz ASAP.
I could see it going that way. I can definitely see it going that way. But I'm gonna say it's real because last year, Max Crosby felt like he got snubbed last year. You know what I mean? He constantly has a chip on his shoulder. And he probably feels like he's probably the best pass rusher in the league. He's not getting any respect in the league.
He's not wrong.
And the dude is just lights out every Sunday. We all know he goes 100 miles per hour. I think that with the addition of Christian Wilkins, you're going to give a guy that's had a career high with 16 sacks last season more one-on-one opportunities.
Yeah.
I think it's a real deal, Holyfield, man. I think it's gonna happen. I think Max Crosby's gonna have a career year in sacks next season, and that's for me. I think that's real. I think that's real. And let us know in the chat too as well, man. Do you think that's real? Do you think Max Crosby's gonna have a career with improvements on the D line? Guys like Christian Wilkins on the D line, because think about Christian Wilkins. Last year was a contract year for him. If you want to be honest, he had a career high 8 sacks from a D tackle position. That's huge.
Yeah.
But before that, he didn't go over at what 6 sacks from that D tackle position. So if he just does his job, which is command double teams, get some pressure up the middle, you got a guy like Max Crosby screaming from the outside, which he's never had. He's never really had. He has never really had help in the middle. Maybe that Gus Bradley year where they had a bunch of role players coming in, and you had Jefferson who's probably his best D tackle, that he had inside that was able to, and some other guys too as well. I'm probably forgetting right now, but I think Max Crosby is going to have his biggest year to date next season, and it's not crazy to say. I can see what Severe is saying, but man, you're going to give more one-on-one opportunities for a guy that was literally getting double teamed left and right last season without the premier inside guy. Nah, come on, man. I'm taking Max. He's gonna have a career year for sure.
It's not crazy to say at all. As you think about it as well, kind of further bolster your case is that he was playing part of that season like hurt. So, the fact that he's still able to put up that kind of production and he wasn't really even 100% down the stretch, that could, lead to him putting up more production. I just think that those other guys, I think all those guys are going to play well. I think teams aren't going to, if it comes down to, are you going to let Max Crosby beat you or are you going to let Malcolm Kuntz beat you? Like, look, we'll take our chances with Malcolm Kuntz. Like, we would take our chances with Malcolm Kuntz and see if he can do what he does again, rather than, this guy who's probably should have won, most people think should have won Defensive Player of the Year last year and who should be, a perennial all-pro guy. For the foreseeable future.
Yeah. I just think that just giving a guy more one-on-one opportunities and then having a guy like Christian Wilkins, where Christian Wilkins, he doesn't necessarily have to get like 8 sacks for him to be effective.
Nah.
He just got to get like at semi-consistent pressure up the middle, and a guy like Max Crosby, just that amount of pressure where the quarterback has to roll out, because quarterbacks don't like pressure up the middle. And obviously if that happens, you got him rolling right, you got to roll him to the other side. Max Crosby, that's an easy sack for Max. He doesn't have to work as hard. So I think Max could easily get a career high in sacks next year. I'm gonna go it's real. I'm not gonna bet against Max Crosby. But let us know in the chat, man. I think people are saying, look, Daniel Kim says Crosby about to make sure he's never disrespected again. Yeah, facts. What was it? I think there was something about last year. He felt disrespected at the end of last year. If the chat let me know, like I could have sworn, was he left off the All-Pro list? No, I think he was second team All-Pro last season.
It was something like that. It was something to that effect.
Yeah, it was something where it was like, man, like how is he ranked? I think it might have been Defensive Player of the Year votes. I'm not sure if he got any. I think
that was it. I think that was it. I think he didn't get any Defensive Player of the Year votes. I think that was it. Like none.
Yeah. I think, let us know in the chat, man. I think it was because he didn't get the Defensive Player of the Year votes, which we felt like, at the very least he should have got, especially how well the defense played down the stretch. But, next year, if the Raiders are able to get to the playoffs, win some games, on top of him having a great year, I think Max Crosby could be a Defensive Player of the Year candidate for sure. No doubt about that. Yeah. But let's get into the chat real quick. Let's see, I think. Yeah, well, let's see. Deus, I think with Wilkins, it's going to be madness. Yeah, facts.
Yeah, facts.
Campo says so Max will be good while being double teamed. Don't forget to add while being double teamed. Well, he's gonna have more one-on-one opportunities. He's probably gonna be double teamed as well. But like if Christian Wilkins is, man, I think look, are you gonna allow a D tackle to pressure a quarterback up the middle, or can you live with having like a guy like Max Crosby going one-on-one? I understand Max Crosby is a great player, but if a player up the middle, like that's the reason why a guy like Aaron Donald was so effective, such a Hall of Fame type of player. Guys like Warren Sapp, like if you can pressure quarterbacks up the middle, man, you change the game.
Yeah, facts.
Steve says, if healthy, I'm convinced Tyree gets 10 plus sacks. Hey, see that one. I'm not gonna say that's real. I'm not gonna say that's real. Tyree, hey, I hope. I'm not, but I can't say with a straight face. I can't say that's gonna be real. After last season, I think he's gonna be better. I think he's gonna be better for sure.
Yeah.
But 10 plus sacks, man, I gotta see it to believe it, man. I gotta see it to believe it, especially when you hear Nate Hobbs talk about him and his basketball skills and call him stiff. I was like, no, I don't want to hear that, man. I don't want you to call an edge player stiff. Like come on, man. That's not what I want.
I think this is Kuntz gonna have a career year, bro. That's what I think, man. We should sign this man up right now, because I think Kuntz is gonna get. I think Kuntz is gonna have 10 plus sacks for sure. I think he'll be in maybe in the 11-12 range.
Yeah.
And as the chat said, it was the 0 votes for Defensive Player of the Year. So I think Kuntz is gonna have a big year. I think he's gonna feed off of the attention that is going to be going toward Christian Wilkins and Max Crosby, and I think he's going to be just whipping dudes on the other side of football. And the fact that he's kind of stepped up into that leadership role as well, I think that's just going to be added confidence on the field, and the fact that he knows eyes are watching him. So I think he's going to be taking his game to another level, and I think he's going to have a very good year and possibly get paid big time if we don't lock him up.
Well, hey, but let me ask you this though: what's best case scenario though? If guys like Kuntz, Wilson, and if everybody eats, or do you feel like Max Crosby having another career year? And obviously, guys like Kuntz probably are still effective and get their sacks. But if Max Crosby has another career year, meaning let's say he gets 20 sacks next season, would you want? Would that be a best case scenario, or would you want a scenario where everybody eats?
Everybody eats, man. I think when you have all those guys doing well, I think that kind of a defense doesn't know where to put their attention to. So I think that if all those guys are eating, I think it's just it becomes a meeting at the quarterback.
Marty Martin, the building, man. Appreciate you coming through. He said, don't forget, bro, man.
Yeah, sir. Talking about Tyree.
You talking about Tyree Wilson. Tyree, man, I hope he has a big year, but I gotta see it to believe it, man. I gotta see it to believe it. Because just judging by how he kind of what he showed us last year, it seemed like he had a little bit of ways before he could become an effective player. But a whole offseason, he's now healthy. He's out there with Max Crosby and Wilkins. So, he has a lot of things going for him and it's not going to be a lot of pressure on him too. There's not a lot of pressure on him because he's not going to be the guy that needs to be effective because he got picked in the first round. He has a lot of great talent around him. So that's kind of a good scenario for him. We're not sleeping on Kuntz. But I'm going to bet on Max Crosby for Kuntz. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be honest. That's what I'm going to do.
Man.
But Kuntz is definitely a good player, man.
Fact.
But yeah, man. Hey, look, man, the chat is going crazy. I'm trying to get to the chat. Yeah, no, definitely, man. Make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff, man. We appreciate everybody coming through. It's been a great show. If y'all missed it, make sure to watch the replay with, obviously our guy, Marcus from Tape Don't Lie, TDL, man. Make sure to check him out. But watch the replay, man. If you missed it, we just had him on, and it was a great interview. And yeah, man, make sure to watch that, man. And we appreciate everybody coming through. Look, Super D says that smaller DN thoughts on Kuntz not possibly finish season and being a first time starter. Well, I mean, he did have.
He started a large part of the year last year.
Yeah,
he started a large part of the year last year. I mean, at least that the last half of the season, I want to say he was a starter the whole time. When as soon as
how
AP
many games
took
did
over.
Kuntz? Let's see how many games Kuntz started last year.
Was it 9? I want to say 9. I think I want to say every AP game, right?
I'm about to check. Old Faithful. That's what I'm about to do, man. I'm about to go pro sports. Let's see here what it's gonna say. Let's see. Pro sports. How many games do you think he started?
I went with 9.
You went with 9?
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see. How many games did he start?
9 will be the. I mean, I think that low. I think a low end would be 6, but I think 9 is my guess. But I think on the low end would be 6. But I want to say he started immediately though when AP took over.
All right, games played. He played 17 games last year, but it's not telling me the starts. See, that's why you gotta go to. Let us know in the chat, man. Hey, how many games do you think Malcolm Kuntz started last year? He played all 17 games. And I'm about to pull it up right now. So 2023, he started. It's not even saying it. That's crazy.
Let's see. So we get action on here.
It's not even saying it. Hold on. Let's look at it. Make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and hit that notification bell, man. We appreciate everybody coming through. Cool Kev say he started 8.
8, okay.
Half, a little less than half, basically half the season.
Essentially, yeah, a little less than half the season.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Why is it not telling us right now? That's crazy.
According to Pro Football Reference, he played
games.
17. Started 11.
He started 11.
According to starting the Pro Football Reference, he started 11. But
yeah. So a little over half. Over half. So he started 11 games.
Okay. And he played all 17. So
and he's going to be the projected starter. We can assume that he's going to be the projected starter next season on the other side of Max Crosby. So that's going to be that's going to be a big jump. It's definitely going to be a big jump for him. But I think he held up his end of the bargain last season. If he started 11 games, especially to finish out the season, I think one of the biggest issues with Kuntz was his ability to stop the run. And he was able to prove that he can do that on a consistent basis. And now you add that his pass rush ability. Man, the Raiders better sign this man to a contract. They better sign him to a contract.
I'm telling you, lock this man up ASAP, bro. Lock him up. Do it like you did with Waller, because it's gonna get more expensive.
Yeah, pass rushers get paid. Man. But hey, look, man. Hey, man, it's been a great show. We appreciate everybody coming through. Man, look, as usual, man. Like I always say, man. Welcome to the 50-50 show. But we gotta sign out, man. It's. I'm looking at time, man. We usually do like an hour and 30, but today we doing a 2 hours special.
Yeah.
But hey, we love coming on here, man, and talking football and talking about the Raiders. But the least that y'all can do, man, is make sure to hit that like button. We're going live on both our channels. Clock in at this point, clock out. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff, man. We appreciate everybody coming through. It's been a great show. Man, hey, look, if you missed it, we had a great interview, great talk with our guy Marcus from Tape Don't Lie. Watch the replay on both our channels, so make sure to just head over there and just do all that good stuff that I just mentioned. But yeah, man, any last thoughts? Anything that you want to let the people know what to look forward to? Because I think what's coming up this week, this week, mandatory minicamp. So
yes, sir.
We're gonna see who really gonna show up, because there are a lot of people who didn't show up to. I won't say a lot, but there were some players that didn't show up to the voluntary OTAs, which is okay. It's fine. It's voluntary, but we'll see what happens. Mandatory minicamp. We'll see what the attendance looks like. We'll see if Devontae Adams shows up. Guys like Colton Miller, people are kind of concerned about him. Jackson Powers Johnson, is he, are they going to keep him away from the mini camp until training camp? Because it sounded like he got dinged up the first day. Yeah. He got hurt. So we'll see. But let the people know, man, where they can find you. Any last thoughts? What to look forward to?
Man, you guys know what it is. The Severe Raider. Everywhere, the Severe Raider on YouTube, the Severe Raider IG, the Severe Raider on Snapchat, X, TikTok, all that good stuff, man. But yeah, man, first thing I want to do is just shout out to Marcus from Tape Don't Lie, man. Always a pleasure having that dude on, man. He has a wealth of knowledge, and they're grinding hard over there right now, man. They're grinding hard over on Tape Don't Lie. They're putting out a bunch of content, so for him to take some time out for us, man, is much appreciated. And I got some stuff coming up too, man. Just be on the lookout for it, man. Make sure y'all show up here every Monday night, 8:30-ish. Well, we got to throw that ish on there, And then make sure y'all pop in for Thursday nights as well with Around the Shield. Make sure y'all clocking in, my channel, clocking in on Pharaoh channel, or clock out at this point. Make sure y'all hitting the subscribe on my channel and on Pharaoh's channel, and make sure y'all leave a comment. Don't leave no comment for me on Pharaoh's channel, man. Just leave it on my channel.
Hey, man. Marty Marr said MySpace with a question mark. Is MySpace is it still around? Is MySpace still around?
I think Justin Timberlake had bought it a while ago. I think like if you didn't claim your old account like that, they had wiped out all the old accounts. But I'm pretty sure it's still. I think it's back around. I think I don't know if it's still going. I know they like trying to change it to what it's supposed to be, like for music. I don't know if it's still around, but if it is, bro, I'll hop on MySpace. I'll hop on Rumble. I'll hop on what else? Twitch. I'll hop on there too, man.
Yeah, be on the lookout for that too. Yeah, for sure. Be on the lookout. People on Rumble or all the we're gonna be on everything. I can speak for myself, and I know Severe is gonna be doing that as well. But
Christian Mingle, all that stuff.
He said Christian Mingle. But be on the lookout for Around the Shield, man. If y'all don't know, now y'all know. We are officially calling the show with Big Mike, obviously Severe, and myself, Around the Shield, and look, that show will be released later this week on Thursday, so make sure to check that out. And obviously every Monday's, every Monday's the late night special, man, the 50-50 show. We've been doing this consistently every Monday, man, so we appreciate y'all support. Man, can't wait for the mini camp. Here's some good things out of that. I think you said June 11th to the 13th. So hopefully, does that happen by the time? I'm trying to think. That's tomorrow. That's at this point it's today, man. It's been a late show. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So hopefully by the next show we'll get into what's going on in minicamp. And like I said, we appreciate everybody coming through. Till next time. Peace.
Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.